Wuthering Heights. Alright, let's talk about it. First off, I do recommend this book. It is a classic. It's definitely worth reading. But I was laboring under the misconception that this was a gothic romance. And maybe I just don't know what gothic romance means. But, and no spoilers here, but this was such a dark book about abuse and how people harm each other, especially when trapped in small places together and generations. So it was a very difficult read, actually. We read this in my little family book club, another winner suggested by my sister. But, you know, reading it during the winter and during an illness, finishing it during like a fever and a flu, just felt right. And I think the one thing I would recommend as you tackle this book is in the first chapters, write down or carefully note who's who, because it starts off at one point and then it jumps far back in the past to explain it. And because it's two families with intermarriages and sometimes the same names, it could get confusing about who you're dealing with and how they're all related. So that's my only advice for reading this. But, you know, this is Emily Bronte's only work before she died from her rather cursed family of creative geniuses. And it's an important thing to read. I understand why it's one of the classics. It's good to know about what people can do to each other, and sometimes fiction helps to explore that better than simply reading the atrocities themselves can. So those are my thoughts on Wuthering Heights. The only other thing is I just pulled up this cover. I read on Kindle, so I didn't actually have a book cover. But it looks like Fritz Eichenberg has illustrated a version of this, which is fantastic. I've actually been meaning to do a video about him for 6 months now, so maybe this is my cue. But yeah, I would love to see the Fritz Eichenberg illustrations of this. So there you go, Bronte's haunting, dark, gothic classic.